Alright, hello. A couple days ago on Article Analysis Episode 9, I talked about Battlefield 5 and how on PC, the text chat will have a profanity filter. In that video, I stated my reasons why I dislike profanity filters, why I think DICE is pretty naive, pretty silly for including them, and in that video, I was actually very easy on them. I gave them the benefit of the doubt. I hated the idea, but I had this feeling in my head that maybe I'm just overreacting. I'm sure they'll do the profanity filter just fine, make it toggleable, or even if it isn't toggleable, make it at least tolerable. Like, sure, words like fuck, shit, etc. It's like, okay, you'll censor those, but at least we'll still know what people are talking about. Even though you were going to implement a profanity filter, I assumed you were going to be pretty, conservative with how you use it. But you were actually very liberal with how you used it. Very, very liberal. In fact, you were even worse than how I initially thought you were going to do with it. I was watching a video made by Angry Joe about Battlefield, because I'm sure as hell not going to play that game. And the first thing in the video was Angry Joe typing white man in the chat, the Battlefield 5 in-game chat, and it got censored. Then he typed other things like Asian man, brown man, and then later black man, and those were not censored. So what does that lead me to think? Well, I don't know. During a time where EA is in this controversy of pushing this very far left progressive agenda in their video game and not staying true to history because of it, you would think that that would be the one mistake they didn't make. You'd think, oh, the community is accusing us of all these things. We should work extra hard to stop appearing as though we're a bunch of ideologues. Because you've got to understand, whenever you're making a profanity filter, you have to make the conscious decision to input the words you would like to blacklist into a computer code. You have to type those words out into that blacklist purposefully. This isn't something you're going to do on accident. So I think calling it a mistake would be untruthful, especially given the context of the situation. Somebody had to sit there and type into a blacklist white man, with the intention that, oh, whenever somebody says this, it will get blocked out. We don't want people saying white man in our chats. So I think that this blacklisting of the word white man is a very predictable projection of EA's and DICE's philosophies and politics, which is silly. I couldn't care less about a company's politics, but whenever they're implemented into my games, that's when we have a problem. I'm really happy that the gaming community has kind of stepped up and called EA out on this. I hope the numbers will reflect that. But yeah, at this point, this is just too convenient a mistake to make, so I'm not going to call it a mistake. This is a very telling move EA made. A very dumb one. Especially because it was so selective, like white man, but not black man, not brown man. They were very selective, they were very discriminatory with what they wanted to block. So just follow me with this. Let's just make up a little scenario in our brain. Imagine a big company, such as EA, making a multiplayer video game, such as Battlefield 5, and while you're communicating with somebody, you realize that the word black man has been censored. Also, just for this thought experiment, let's imagine you are black. Then after finding that out, you did a little test. I wonder if white man is blacklisted. And you type white man in, and that is not blacklisted. How, as a black man, after realizing that you can't say your race, your type of person, in a video game, how would that make you feel? It would probably piss you off, and justifiably so. You are directly being discriminated by the in-game chat filter on the basis of your race and gender, and that's not cool. So now let's just get back to reality, our current situation, where it is the white man who is being discriminated against in this sense. Isn't it odd how in EA and DICE's efforts to be more inclusive, more progressive, more virtuous, more politically correct, isn't it strange how in their efforts of doing that, they have done exactly the opposite, and they've caused so much damage because of it? I've said it before, and I will say it again. Irony is the weapon of choice for stupid people, and they don't consciously choose it. And I know the media isn't going to cover the fact that white man is blacklisted. In fact, a lot of the headlines I've read completely ignored white man and just went with DLC in the title. But I know they're not going to cover it because white privilege. If you're a white person, apparently, no one can be racist towards you. Nobody can discriminate against you. You have everything you want in the world. You're treated amazingly. That's according to these modern progressives. Which, to be totally clear, is where EA and DICE are. The progressive kind of spot in the spectrum. Or just to clarify a little bit more, the regressive part of the spectrum. Because as EA and DICE have demonstrated, when you go progressive, you get regressive. That's being shown in their numbers, being shown in their public relations. It's all over the place. And so I've been thinking, could all of this weird progressive bullshit that's been going on with EA? Could it be that they are trying to get closer with society in some way, to look like less of a villain, and the only obvious way for them is to go progressive? Could that be it? Kind of like in the same way a murderous psychopath would try to look as friendly as possible in order to get closer to people and not look like the dangerous person you are. I feel like they're attempting to overcompensate for how awful they treat people by going progressive. These two things are linked because both progressivity and virtuism have a strong intimacy. So I think I figured out exactly why EA is doing this, because the public hates their guts. They've called them out for doing all these scummy things, exploiting their fan base, their consumers, the people that give them money, exploiting the hell out of them, wronging them with every move they make, every word they say. They can't look good in the eyes of the genuine public, so they'll try in the eyes of the progressive public. And maybe that's effective, but based on the reaction of the community, I would not say that. In fact, EA and DICE's failure with Battlefield 5, as a company, as an organization, should be seen as a lesson. A couple lessons, actually. One being that if you force a political ideology into a video game, people who play video games will reject it because they don't want to see political ideologies in their video games. A lot of people play video games to avoid those. So there's that. Then there's just a more fundamental, kind of ubiquitous lesson to be learned for everybody. Be nice to people, and you will not have to feel as though you need people to think you are nice. I should just end the video right there. But there is another word we need to talk about that has been blacklisted. I will only talk briefly about this, but again, it's equally telling on who EA is as a company, and DICE. They also blacklisted the word DLC, downloadable content, because we all know how EA is with DLC. They don't want people talking about DLC. And just to pour salt on the wound, actually, they will let you talk about DLC if you put the word free behind it, which means they had to blacklist DLC and then go out of their way to whitelist free DLC. They didn't want you to talk about DLC in a bad light. But yeah, that's just more proof that EA is just a scummy company that I really hope gains some self-awareness pretty soon, because it's gonna need it if it wants to go on. But yeah, sorry I didn't make an article analysis video today, but seeing how this is a topic I talked about earlier, I felt like I needed to keep up with it, so it still scratches that itch, you know? Anyway, this has been PsychicSploob. Thank you for watching. If you liked the video, leave a like. If you disliked, leave a dislike, but at least tell me why. If you like this content and you want to see more, just subscribe and hit that bell. In the background of this video, you've been seeing Helldivers, which is a really fun co-op game. It's on PC and PS4. I'm playing it on PC here. I'm pretty addicted to it right now, so if you ever want to play with me and you just happen to have this game, go ahead, add me on Steam and invite me, and I might actually join. I freaking love this game. Anyway, thank you again for watching. Peace out.